Ceann Comhairle. I have a speech, but the speech isn't going to touch upon a lot of those issues that are raised, so I'll try and go through them as best I can. I think, Deputy Curran, your question, are we doing enough? I think it's a fair question. It's a very fair question. But I want to put it into context. The first report following a period of consultation and analysis was in January 17, a little over 18 months ago, 19 months ago. And in that 18, 19-month period, we're now into what I've been describing as the big stuff, the heavy lifting. And anywhere I can get any support from whatever sector, whether it's within this House or outside the House, Insurance Ireland, anywhere, I will certainly take that support to help us to try and implement anything that we haven't done. Fair criticism is that we had expected at the end of Q2 2018 we would have this implemented. We haven't. We will have it operational at the start of Q1 2019. The work that we've been doing to compile this and publish this piece of legislation and now get it through the Houses, the work in parallel has been operational between the group and the Central Bank of Ireland, so we can start on the 1st of January 19. Have we missed 2 quarters? Yes. But this is a large piece of legislation. It is complicated, as well as trying to establish the group within the Central Bank. The CSO data increases. The decrease since the peak was 2 years ago, summer 16, a decrease of 21%. That's the CSO data. It's the same CSO data in relation to the increase from the low point, which was probably too low. There was a price war that happened in terms of insurance, and companies went in, they went undercutting each other, and in effect they did damage to the sector in its totality. In some occasions, the insurance of a car was less than the cost to replace a windscreen. And that was never sustainable, and there has been a cost. So I think we've lost about 40% of the companies who are in the market because the market wasn't profitable. I haven't heard one about address changes, but it's certainly something we can try and look into. In terms of the significant premium increase, we've looked at this in pretty much detail. We're satisfied if every person who has received an increase is to get a detailed explanation as to why. The premium for every person who has motor car insurance will increase. So if you individualise it to that level, we think that there'll be a pretty significant increase. And pardon?
Does that not indicate it's a big problem?
No, it doesn't indicate that it's a big problem. What it indicates is if a company increases, one of the things that we've tried to do is, and we are doing is, within the same page of the premium increase, we want to show what last year's premium was. So somebody gets to see what last year's premium was, it's able to see within a couple of lines of that it's increased by X, Y, or Z. So there isn't really a cost to applying that. So then people can then shop around. So what we're also doing then is increasing the period of time in which people have cover so that it can have the opportunity to shop around more. So we've looked at all of these, we've kicked them about, we've gone through them in serious detail to try and ensure that what we do won't increase premium, will decrease premium. The claims against people, whether people want to hear it or not, the insurance company settled the claim, not the individual person who has taken out insurance with the company. The matter is against them and not the person. We're not satisfied with that, with people being told that they find out when their premium is renewed that, well, sorry, there was a claim, and only find out at that stage. In terms of the insurance fraud section, I do support the establishment of that within An Garda Síochána. Should it have been established earlier? Perhaps it should. But there was, in my view, wasn't going to be the case that an interim Garda Commissioner was going to establish that and have, which is a precedent, the first occasion that a private insurance or private sector would pay the wages of the Gardaí. And I've highlighted that I think there's an issue there in relation to that. This isn't where the guards are hired to police a football match or a sporting occasion. This is where the salaries of guards are being paid for by a sector who then can progress criminal sanctions against individuals. The sanctions are pretty severe, they're pretty steep. The sanction is a €100,000 fine and or jail time. And I personally, I've said this publicly on a number of occasions, I don't believe that that's the correct way in which that should happen. The money should go into the Exchequer, and the Exchequer pay the Gardaí. They are our police force. They are independent. Of course they're independent. But I just don't see that that would sit well, that the salaries are paid for by private sector. I'm going to keep working backwards as best I can. Deputy Matty McGrath, his ignorance in this matter is astonishing. It is astonishing. And if you just remove the column that we have, that I'm speaking, because the same speech we have about everything, same speech about post offices, about insurance, you name it, it's the same speech with the same buzzwords. And perhaps if Deputy McGrath had taken the opportunity to come to the AV room when I had booked it for 2 hours a number of months ago to go through these in detail with members of the Oireachtas, I could have informed them what we're doing instead of him coming in here shouting the way he does, saying there's nothing happening, Royal Ireland is dead, same lines on every occasion. And then when he says that, he runs out the door. He's gone again. I've asked him 2 or 3 times to wait for the response, to hear what the response is. I don't know where he is. He's probably halfway down the motorway by now. Maybe he'll get the response at some stage in the future. He might come back in, perhaps. Deputy Collins, in terms of the closure of offices, the Department of Finance have no role in how a commercial entity chooses to present to the country. Closure of the office in the Axe office in West Cork is unfortunate, but I know for certain that there must be brokers in West Cork throughout all of those towns and villages who act as very capable intermediaries between people who are looking for insurance and the insurance companies. So while AXA may close as as the opportunity to directly sell their products to individuals, well, certainly brokers are there and they do a very fine job around the country. Deputy Tobin, in relation to the issues that he has highlighted, yes, I accept we're late on this, but we are ready to start on the Q1 of 2019. In terms of the Central Bank of Ireland, the collection of data and the compiling of information, consumer protection is not affected in this in any manner. Is the Central Bank, this question has come up, the correct body to compile this? This is a compilation exercise. It's not a question of objectivity. It's not a question of choosing. This will be done. They will compile the numbers, they'll compile the information, and they'll pass that information backwards. The cost-benefit analysis, Deputy Tobin was unaware that that was concluded by Insurance Ireland, that is agreed with Insurance Ireland, that €1 million will be made available for the establishment of an insurance fraud section within the Garda National Economic Fraud Bureau. Again, my issue is how it gets funded. I have a fundamental issue with that, and it's not often that I agree with Sinn Féin, but Sinn Féin seem to be agreeing with my position on that. Tackling fraud in insurance in Ireland is crucial. Absolutely, it's crucial. But everybody wants to talk about the fraud, the staged fraud, the fraud where somebody sets up an accident and then puts in a claim. It's a big issue. But a much greater issue, by a country mile, is the exaggeration of fraud, the exaggeration of claims. And this is where somebody hasn't gone out to stage an accident. This is where somebody has been injured in an accident of some nature. But we have a huge issue with whiplash in this country. 80% of claims are soft tissue claims, whiplash. The Personal Injury Commission report that was launched during the week shows that the claims in Ireland in relation to whiplash are 4.4 times more. And the way I express that sounds like a lot, but if you get 10,000 in the UK, you will get 44,000 on average here. And that is something that is doing terrific damage. Are people injured? Yes, they are. People should be appropriately compensated in relation to an award. But our claims are way out of kilter with just about everywhere else. Sorry, I left out a couple of issues there, Deputy Tommy Bruin. And I do want to acknowledge Deputy Tommy Bruin's. While I've been critical of Deputy Martin McGrath, Deputy Tommy Bruin is somebody who has always been interested in this area, who has been interested in relation to the level of road deaths, which varies between 150 and 200 people each year for the last 5 years. That's 200 families who have been badly affected by our driving behaviour and by, in particular as well, our drink driving habit that we have. A huge percentage of people in relation to fatalities on the road have drink upon them. And that is just not acceptable at this stage. The damage that it does to families, parents, children, every year, it's just too much. And currently, if you look at the figure at the moment, 110 people have been killed on our roads throughout the country. And these figures are just way too high. At the end, Deputy Bruin, his criticism, I think, is fair. Should we have this concluded by now? Yes, perhaps we should. But again, I'm going to slip back into, if you have high awards in a jurisdiction, you will have high premium. That's just no way around that. The vast majority of premium goes towards payment of awards. A lot of criticism of the insurance industry, the sector itself. In my view, some of that is fair and valid. They haven't done themselves many favours in the period of time. They've been quite secretive. They haven't been that easily dealt with, being frank and honest with you. In relation to the New Zealand model, well, European law is European law. And in this jurisdiction, the constitutional law here means people have the right to access courts. So if people choose to want to go to court, they certainly are entitled to do so. The Book of Quantum, again, Deputy Bruin raised it, the Book of Quantum is a look backwards within the last 3 years of what the awards are, not what anybody would have an objective view of what we or they think an award should be for a particular injury. But the Personal Injury Commission, the second and final report under Justice Curran's, has been very clear. The Judicial Council bill that will be presented by my colleague, Deputy Charlie Flanagan, will be hugely helpful. And Justice Curran's, former President of the High Court, believes that there needs to be a recalibration of the Book of Quantum by the Irish Judicial Council. And in my view, the levels of awards are high in Ireland, some of the highest in the world. There is a debate whether we're the highest or the US are the highest, but we're there or thereabouts. And certainly I believe it has to be recalibrated. This has happened because of the awards by the judiciary over the years. Well, how have we got to here? Well, nobody said stop. The stop started being said when Minister Michael Noonan, Minister for Finance at the time, said we have to do something about this. Minister Owen Murphy then started the process for the Cost of Insurance Working Group. It started in 2016. It started and the first report was concluded in January 17. And this is the process of saying stop. The awards are too high, there's too much fraud, and the exaggeration is criminal also. One of the other aspects that I do want to touch upon is Sinn Féin have said that there should be a new separate offence of insurance fraud. The 2004 Civil Liability in Court Act has the sanction for people who are found guilty of this offence. It is a €100,000 fine and or 10 years in jail. We don't need another sanction, and those sanctions are sufficiently strong when they're implemented. But what we have to do, and Deputy Curran, you touched upon this, we have to ensure that the pathway between the civil courts, where a civil action is taken between an individual against the insurance company for an award, if there is exaggeration, and if a justice in the civil courts suspects there is exaggeration or if there's fraud, that he calls in the Gardaí. The Gardaí then investigate the matter. And we have to make sure that the pathway is correct and appropriate. Subsequent to the Gardaí investigating the matter, then goes to the DPP, and then the courts, the criminal court sanctions then will apply. And we're doing that, we have done that, we're satisfied that it's in place now, and we're satisfied that the sanction is sufficient. We don't believe there's additional sanction required. And again, the criticism is it too slow? Probably is, and I accept that criticism. I think it's fair and valid. But none of this is easy or quick. But in the next 6 months, I do want to thank my members of the Oireachtas who facilitated the insurance amendment bill. I hope we can facilitate this bill moving through the Houses as quickly as possible. We also have the PIAB amendment bill. We have the Judicial Council bill. We have Section 4 and Section 18 Civil Liability in Court Act that we will have to alter. We are attaching it to this bill. We will be moving them at committee stage. We have the matters that Justice Nicholas Curran has also highlighted in the Personal Injuries Commission second and final report. We have the master licensing legislation. So we're at the heavy lifting stage now. Anybody who facilitates all of this, I will thank you, and I will be really pleased if you can help this. And Ceann Comhairle, you were there for the insurance amendment bill as well, and it was facilitated by all members of the House. And if this can be facilitated in the same way, with the same level of cooperation, I'll be very grateful. We will for certain have this legislation through both houses, and we will for certain be able to start this on the 1st of January 2019. Thank you.
Thank you.